Dickerson.
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Leinart, 2004 Heisman Trophy winner.
Hey, I'm Zane Gonzalez.
Hi, I'm Matt Barry from ESPN. You're getting ready to watch one of the best college football podcasts ever. It's the Harris Highlight Show.
You're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
And you're listening to the Harris Highlight Show. Enjoy it.
Na 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 na.
Coming to you live from the Chateau in beautiful Monrovia, California, this is the Harris Highlight Show. Joining me this week is our college football analyst, Josh Schaefer, our college football expert, Lyle Goldstein. Supposedly joining us at some point is going to be our executive producer, Brady Klein. That's to be determined. And I'm your host for the evening, Blake Harris. Well, boys, it's the three amigos yet again, the three best friends that anyone can have. How are we doing on this fine June 1st?
I just wanted to reiterate what I said to you before we went live. Congratulations to the Clippers for winning 2 in a row. It must pay off to playing just 2 games in like 8 days. Good for you guys. The Lakers have another bad injury. All right.
Did I hear you guys say it's getting up in the mid-80s in California? Because it's in the mid-80s today here, which almost never happens on June 1st in Seattle.
For me, it was like 89 today.
Okay,
so the house is hot.
Yeah, see, that's the biggest adjustment. It's not even so much outside. It's getting used to the heat in your own house that I think is the biggest summer adjustment.
Yeah, so it's hotter than I thought to, that's definitely the case over here. So, guys, we did this last week. It was a whole lot of fun, and there were a lot of questions that we weren't actually able to get to because there's so many questions that come up, and I try to go, in order through the live chat. And we, ended the show last week at about 5:05 p.m. And I think pretty much the cutoff for the questions was like all the questions before like 4:50, 4:48 p.m. So we're able to get to a lot. So this entire show, yet again, is going to be a Q&A because for the most part, not a whole lot of college football news that happened over the last week. There was some pretty big news today, but we do want to save that for a future show. We're actually going to be dedicating a whole bunch of time to, so we can get to that later in the show. Maybe if someone asks us the question, we'll go that direction. But yeah, this is entirely going to be an hour 15, however long we go, just Q&A. So if you guys have any college football related questions, NFL questions, fun questions that'll get us to think, really put our minds together, those questions we will always like to try to answer. So again, come up with something creative, come up with something fun, just a stupid question, because again, we prefer those over, the same 5-10 college football questions we always get. So if you want your question answered, come up with something clever, come up with something fun. And it looks like, guys, we have our fourth and final person here. He looks like it's okay, Brady. It's only been about 3 weeks since you've joined the show. So
very tan.
Yeah, he is.
Very burnt. So happens when you work outside for 28 straight days and you get a nice mask line. I'm also on my phone because I haven't turned on my personal computer in 3 weeks. So it's taking a bit of time to get up and going.
Oh, good, Brady. We'll let you figure it out, and we'll just cut them from here right now. So why don't we get things underway? So again, if you guys have any questions, hit us up in the live chat. You guys can donate to the super chat that 100% guarantees your question to be answered. Comes up in a nice shiny color. Helps support the show, or as Josh said earlier, helps pay for his lunch every week because he refuses to eat unless he spends money on your super chat. So if you want Josh to eat, if you don't want him to starve, donate to the super chat. And if you guys donate, you guys have to, in your donation, say where you want Josh to eat. It's not just going for his food. So if you donate $5 and he has to go to, I don't know, what's the beef bowl? Yoshimoto, the beef bowl out here in LA. It's not.
I don't know. I hear the concessions at the Rose Bowl for a good Saturday afternoon UCLA game are popping. So if you want Josh to eat at the Rose Bowl,
a nice $9 awful hot dog that's been sitting around for a couple of years. Yes.
I ate that hot dog after the game in like 2 minutes. It was good, but I was really mad at the score.
All right, so if you guys again want to help support the show and help support Josh and pick where Josh eats, because if you donate to the super chat, tell Josh where he'll eat. That's gonna be the goal for the next week. Josh to go to that restaurant, go to that fast food place, take a photo of him spending your hard-earned money at the place you want him to eat. So again, you guys can hit us up in the super chat. You guys can also ask us anything you guys want. All right, guys, let's just kick things off right here with Didier Register. It sounds very French, if you ask me. I got a question. Why is the 2013 Florida State team the most disrespected championship team from the 2010s? Now, this was a historically good team. I think historically good offensively. The offensive numbers, I still think that they own the record in college football for the largest margin of victory per average on a season. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like that's the case. When you think of great teams from the 2010s, do you guys immediately think of the 2013 Florida State team? And if you don't, well, that adds to his whole point about them being disrespected.
I do not think about them. I think that they were a good team. Obviously, Jameis Winston dominated college football for a little while. And he had some pretty good weapons on that team. I just think, I don't know. I think that national championship game that year, 100% is one of the more forgotten national championships, despite how good it was. And I just mean for your everyday run-of-the-mill college football fan. I think that obviously a lot of people that would watch this show would remember that game very vividly. But I think not your biggest college football fans might forget about that game. And it was a really good game. So I think that kind of factors into it. I don't know. There were some players on that team that I thought were going to be like big deals in the NFL and just weren't. So I don't know. I just think that they were a really good team. And then as time passed, again, that kind of goes to the point where we've said every year, 2020, 2019, 2018, we have the same conversation like, oh my God, is this national championship winning team the best team we've ever seen? I don't know, kind of, maybe, but the game's developing. These teams just get better. I don't know. Recency bias. I think maybe we kind of just forget about them because maybe there were better teams in more recent years.
When you talk about players that didn't pan out in the NFL, are you referring to the guy that was told he was a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end, and now he's actually a tight end as he was signed a couple weeks ago to be a tight end in the NFL?
Booger McFarland's just ahead of the time with his comments. He'll make some questionable ones, but 4 or 5 years down the line, some of the stuff he says will be right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in all seriousness, I think Josh is right that there is recency bias when you think about this, because when you think about the last 3 national champions, Clemson, LSU, Alabama, all those guys have a case to be arguably the greatest college football team of all time. And because they were so dominant and because they just blew teams out every week, it's easy to forget about the teams that played earlier on in the decade, like 2013 Florida State, who was also undefeated, who had a Heisman Trophy winner in freshman Jameis Winston. And like Blake talked about, I mean, their margin of wins were huge too. And they had good players on that team, Devontae Freeman, Kelvin Benjamin. There's a bunch of others. I think that team was really good. It's not the first team that I think of when you think of national championship teams in the 2010s, because I think recency bias plays a factor. But I don't think they should be forgotten about either.
Is Brady I was going to say, is Brady frozen?
No.
I will say this though. That national championship game is, I know we forget about the team, which is fine, but that game was insane. I mean, there was the 100-yard kick return for the touchdown. I believe that was in the fourth quarter. And then Jameis comes down with like 10 seconds left and throws the game-winning touchdown. I mean, that game, you can make the case, is probably like the second best or the best national championship game we've had in the last decade, maybe between that and the Deshaun Watson, Hunter Renfrow walk-off. I mean, those 2 games were incredible. But I mean, overall, I think as a whole, that Florida State Auburn Rose Bowl was maybe just the more exciting game, which is odd how it's forgotten about. So good question. Didier? Registre. Didier. All right, so this was the question. It didn't take long to get, guys. And I do want to address that we will talk about this soon. How are we feeling about Ari Gilbert going to Georgia? How much of an impact will it make? And that's the crazy part. He's not even the only player that, transferred to Georgia today. Wow, literally like a minute after I asked like what happened with Georgia, I got like the Bleacher Report notifications that came in. So I just missed those. So I'm going to tease this for a future show. Maybe it's next week or a coming week, but we are going to have a show that we dedicate entirely to transfers, whether it's transfer quarterbacks, transfer running backs, as you can see here, a tight end and a cornerback. So we are going to talk about this in a future episode, talking about our thoughts on all the different transfers, who we think the biggest transfers are, who we think is going to make the biggest impact, and pretty much just talk about the transfer portal. I know Brady has some questions on what the transfer portal is really like. What's it like in there? Is it like in Danny Phantom when he enters that portal? Is that what the transfer portal is exactly like? So we aren't going to talk about the moves today. We're going to save that for a future show in regards to transfers. Again, it might be next week, might be in coming weeks. So stay tuned for our full reactions on that. USC Sports, do y'all actually respond? Josh, there seems to be a problem with this guy's name because he has a South Carolina jersey in his profile picture, but he's going by USC Sports.
Interesting. I disagree.
All right. Judson Wolf, do you guys think that Arkansas could be a surprising team this year? Well, I guess that kind of also determines what our definition of surprising is for Arkansas. If they, finish above 500, is that considered surprising? Or if they're out here winning, 8 or 9 games, will you guys consider that a surprising season for them? Because it's been a while since the Hogs have been really any sort of, I guess, competition in the SEC.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about this last week. I just think there's a football monopoly right now, and it's the same 2 teams nationally in Clemson and Bama. And like Lyle had said, Notre Dame's kind of the scapegoat for college football, being that they're going to be the team that's always up there, and then they're going to be the ones that kind of get the short end of the stick compared to some of those other top teams. And then when it comes to the SEC, like it's Bama, it's Georgia, it's Florida. Like I just don't really see that happening. So in terms of the surprise team, it like depends what you mean by surprise. So if it's 8 or 9 wins, sure, like they could be surprising. But if we're talking about being a sleeper in the SEC, no, not close. So here's the problem: being a sleeper in the SEC, being a sleeper in the Big 12, for example, we all said last year, okay, Iowa State's like a sleeper in the Big 12. So you've got to go through Texas and like Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. But who of those 3 teams is the legitimate team you're going to beat in the Big 12? Oklahoma. So if you're considering Iowa State a sleeper, yeah, they can compete with Oklahoma. If we're talking about the SEC and you want somebody to be a sleeper in the SEC, you've got to go through half the conference to be considered a sleeper. And I don't see Arkansas doing that.
Yeah, I think they're just in the wrong conference. I mean, to be honest, yeah, like Josh was talking about, if they were in the Big 12, for example, that's a lot more wide open than the SEC is. I think it's just hard to compete in that conference. They do have a couple of good players. I mean, Treylon Burks is going to be one of the best wide receivers in college football this upcoming year, but I just don't think they have a complete enough team to really compete in the SEC with the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Floridas, and the others.
Do you guys know that in our lifetime, and now this is stretching a couple extra years for me, Arkansas has never been ranked inside the top. They've never been ranked as a single-digit team in our lifetime. They got as high as number 10 back in 2012, but we've never witnessed Arkansas be ranked. In our lifetime is number 10.
So what was the
Actually, wait, I'm just kidding. That's just where they started at I'm looking at Football Reference wrong. That's the highest they began a season. The highest they've been in our lifetime is 3rd, and they were ranked 3rd in 2011 at one point when they went 11-2 and they won the Cotton Bowl. So I just had the columns mixed up, but it's been a while though. I mean, that's those 2 years. In 2010 they were 10-3. They lost in the Sugar Bowl. 2011 they won the Cotton Bowl. They won 11-2. Aside from that, they have not been good in our lifetime at all. They were 10-4 in 2006. But aside from that, they have no seasons with double-digit wins. They have 3 in my 25 years of existence.
I was going to say, like 2005 and 2006, I think they were pretty good. Or 2007, because that's when they would have had, like, McFadden.
Yeah.
And I remember them being pretty good, or at least having a bunch of hype to be pretty good, and then didn't really like pan out all that.
Yeah,
much.
so the highest they got was a 3 in 2011, but the last 3 year guys, 2020 3-7, 2019 2-10, 2018 2-10, 2017 4-8, And then they had a nice stretch from 24 to 2016 where they were above 500 every year. But 2013, 3-9, 2012, 4-8. So I guess at this point, looking back at these records, I will define them as surprising if they finish 500. If they go bowling, it is going to be a surprise. All right, guys. I don't know if you guys got the Archie Manning notification today, but he pretty much came out and was like, "I'm literally thinking about anywhere. I'm thinking about SMU." There was like another random school in there where he's like, "I'd consider them." What was it? Lyle?
Yeah, Virginia of all places.
UVA.
Yeah. So he's like, "Yeah, somewhere." We just heard Sean just let out a massive moan. But all right, guys, who do you think has the best chance to get Archie Manning? Apparently, he's saying he will go anywhere. I think is he the 2023 class? Is that what he is? 2023?
Yeah.
So a couple years. Where do you guys think he'll play ball?
I think it'll be an SEC school. Got a little bit of a family lineage there. I think that he'll go somewhere in the SEC. I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to go to like Ole Miss or Tennessee, for example. I think he could go somewhere else. Pull a rabbit out of the hat and go to Kentucky. I just think it's somewhere in the SEC.
That would be something. I know Notre Dame already made an offer to him, which selfishly, like, that would be sick.
I'll tell you who he's got offers from.
I mean,
Probably
it's got to be like the whole phone book, right?
So here it is. It's actually, I mean, it's a lot of big schools. It's not as many as you'd think, though. Bama, Boston College, Duke, Georgia, LSU, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, SMU, Tennessee. So those are the two that I said that are there, Tennessee and Ole Miss. Texas, and then Oklahoma and USC both are an interest according to 247, but have not offered. And those are the only schools that are up there.
Yeah, so he can basically go wherever he wants.
Right. So what was it? Peyton went to Tennessee and Eli went to Ole Miss, right? So I'm going to guess not one of those. He wants to go to a different one. Josh, I don't think it'll be quite like Kentucky. So hey, maybe stranger things have happened. All right, guys. Gilbert wants to know, what is the ceiling for Texas Tech football this year with the Oregon transfer quarterback? So Texas Tech, they are going to get shucked this year. They might be shucking opponents all season. So with Tyler Shuck now is the quarterback for Texas Tech. What do you guys think potentially can happen for the Red Raiders? It's been a while since they had a pretty good quarterback. Everyone thought Alan Bowman was going to be like the next big thing, and he showed signs of being a really good quarterback, and things just didn't pan out with Texas Tech. And there are still mock drafts out there that have Shuck as the number 1 overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft. So the potential is there with him, no doubt. But is it enough for the Red Raiders to make a potential run in the Big 12?
I'd be very surprised if he was the number 1 overall pick in 2022. I will say, I think Texas Tech is a better fit for him than Oregon, and I think that Anthony Brown is a better fit at Oregon than Tyler Shuck. And I said that last year too. I mean, Oregon, people might totally disagree with me for this. Oregon was not very good last year, and I know that it was because they had a lot of people opt out. They were not that good of a football team last year. They were not. I know they won the Pac-12. They were not a top 3 team in the Pac-12 last year. Should have been, was not. Their offense, in my honest opinion, did not look very good with Tyler Shuck as a quarterback. Looked very, very good with Anthony Brown and much more efficient when he would come in and they were already in the red zone. I thought he was a good quarterback. Shuck, I just don't think fit at Oregon. I think he's going to fit very well at Texas Tech. I don't know if they're going to make a run for the conference. For me, I think it's still between Oklahoma and Iowa State at this point. I think we talked about sleeper teams. I think they could be a sleeper team. I think he's better than Alan Bowman, but I think he's got kind of the same tools. So who knows? He could be the type of guy. I don't want to compare him to a Super Bowl champion and MVP and whatever, and how otherworldly Patrick Mahomes has been. But I will say, I think he can be that type of Patrick Mahomes figure as Texas Tech's quarterback, where everybody might know, okay, this Patrick Mahomes guy at Texas Tech is pretty good, but maybe not know what his ceiling is, at least for the NFL. But I think he can step in and be pretty good.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this with Oregon before. I've expressed that I think when they have these real prospect type quarterbacks like Justin Herbert, like Tyler Shuck, that they need to adjust their offense a little bit more than what they currently run, because what they run just isn't really fit for guys that can really air it out and can make tough throws and can sit in the pocket, as we saw with Justin Herbert. I mean, he was good in that Oregon offense. There were times where he really didn't thrive, and I think it's clear now that that offense might have held him back a little bit. But in terms of Shuck and what he can do at Texas Tech, I agree that I think that fit is better for him than what he was dealing with in Eugene. It's just, what is Texas Tech's defense going to put out? I mean, we know the Big 12 isn't great on defense, but Texas Tech specifically really gets torched, it feels like, year after year on defense. So if they can even be Big 12 average on the defensive side of the ball, they've got a chance to make some noise with Shuck at quarterback. It's just, the defense has to keep teams off the field.
Yeah, there's a chance that teams are going to get shucked on a week-to-week basis. Guys, Connor comes in with a question going off Didier's question. Who is the worst championship winning team of the 2010s? So out of all the teams that have won over the last decade, who do you think out of those teams was the worst to pull out a national championship?
That's a good question.
Maybe the Jake Coker Alabama team. Although did that team have Derrick Henry? I'm trying to remember. I think it did. So
it might have.
Man.
I will say there were some of those Alabama teams that won are nowhere near the Alabama team that just won this past year. And I know that we've talked about that, like, oh, well, is this Bama team one of the better teams of all time? Yeah, probably. Those Bama teams that won before this past year do not compete with this year's team, I think.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. Otherwise, maybe the 2011 Bama team. Yeah, because they went back to back, didn't they? 2011 and 2012. Yeah, maybe that first Alabama team with. Although maybe this is recency bias playing a factor, just because it's easy to forget what that team did. But yeah, I would say one of those Bama teams, either the AJ McCarron team in 2011 or the Jake Coker team.
I'd even throw, because I think technically, Auburn, the 2010 year with Cam, I get Cam had such a historic season, but wasn't that an Auburn team where, like, the year prior they won? I don't even know if they were like a 500 team, something like that. They just weren't that good of a team. And I think they had some pretty close wins during that year. Again, what Cam did was incredible, but again, when you're having to pick the worst, best team, that's the one that kind of sticks out to me the most.
That 2010 team, Cam was the only player on that entire roster to go to the NFL.
Yeah. So there you go. So like I said, it's not trying to pick the worst of the best. So mine would actually be Auburn. That one, guys, we have a super chat donation that comes from our man Steven Smith. Do you think the Pro Football Focus not ranking Breece Hall in the top 5 is fair or foul? Or do they don't Breece Hall making much of an impact next season? Josh will need to eat at Wahlburgers. Josh, do you have a Wahlburgers near you by chance, or is the closest one in Vegas?
Yeah, there's not one anywhere near me.
All right, so we can transition this. So since
one
Steven
just
Smith
opened up in Indy last week, so Josh, come on out to Indy.
Might have to.
Yeah, we can eat at the White Castle next to Lucas Oil.
I actually might be in Vegas sometime within the next week. So
all right, so Steven Smith, if he doesn't go to Wahlburgers, let us know at backup. Guys, I had to look up these rankings to see what he was referring to. So Pro Football Focus, they ranked the top 10 running backs returning to college football this year. Number 1 was Tank Bigsby from Auburn. Number 2 was Deuce Vaughn, Kansas State. Number 3 was Kennedy Brooks, Oklahoma. Number 4, Brian Robinson Jr. from Alabama. And number 5, Jerion Ely from Ole Miss, with Breece Hall number 6. Breece Hall, many people view as the Heisman favorite from a running back's perspective, potentially the number 1 running back taken in next year's NFL draft. And Pro Football Focus, who is known to have some questionable rankings at times, they have him as the 6th best running back that's returning. So do you guys think that's fair or foul? Or again, they don't think that he makes much of an impact next season?
Where was Bijan Robinson on that list?
Let's take a look here. He is at still haven't found him. He was on the name to watch, so he didn't even crack the top 10.
They also don't have any of the ASU guys on that list either.
Well,
Frank
that I get, because don't get me wrong, I think both Rashad White and Chip Trainum are really good. It's just the fact that those guys only played like 4 games, so they're still a little bit unknown. I think this is foul. When I think of the top running backs returning to college football, I'll put Kennedy Brooks to the side for a minute because he opted out last year, although he could be one of the top 5 guys. The guys I think about, Bijan Robinson, Tank Bigsby, who they had at 1, Isaiah Spiller, Kyron Williams, and then Breece Hall. I mean, those are the 5 I think about. I guess there were some names in that top 5 that I was a little surprised to hear. I would definitely have Hall specifically toward the top. So yeah, I'm going to call that foul. Where did they have Spiller and Kyron Williams? Blake, I didn't even hear those guys.
They didn't have either in the top 10.
Oh, really?
They didn't have any in the top 10.
Huh.
So they had Max Borghi at number 7, which is a Christian McCaffrey 2.0. A lot of people think, but I think he only played like in 1 game last year. So yeah, Spiller, because I know Isaiah Spiller, he's another running back who I think a lot of people have as like 1 or 2 off the board next year in regards to running backs. So Pro Football Focus, again, some advanced stats and knowledge that is helpful at times, but when it comes to their rankings, a lot of the times they are quite questionable.
I like Max Borghi just as much as the next guy, but to have him over some of those other guys, I think is absurd. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, for me, kind of like what Lyle said, not only am I putting Breece Hall near the top, but I'm putting Bijan Robinson near the top. And the fact that he was like an honorable mention, we'll say, I still think is foul.
Yeah. So Pro Football Focus, no. So Stephen Smith, it is foul. I mean, it is like 100 yards past the foul pole foul. That's how bad it is. Raider Dre 420. He comes in with a super chat. So thank you, Raider Dre. So can we talk about the Baylor team that got shafted when they beat TCU and got robbed by the NCAA? Was this after? Because I've always kind of felt this, but I forget if the timeline adds up. Was this after that whole debacle that happened with Baylor, or was this before? Because if it was after, it was before. Okay, because I was.
Bryles still would have been their head coach.
Okay, because I was going to say, because I forget what the timeline was when all that stuff took place. So I was going to say, if the reason they got the shaft, I think that might be it from the NCAA's perspective.
Right?
It should be, I think. Yeah, the 24 or is it 2013? I think 2014. I'll look it up real quick just to double check. But the thing is, there's been so many teams that have gotten the shaft over the years, and it's every year there seems like there's 1 or 2 that we kind of leave out. So that was I need to double check these years, because if I'm remembering this right, I think this TCU team, was this the TCU team that was led by Kenny Hill, or was this the one before? Well, who was the one that was the former TCU quarterback that was like on the Seahawks practice squad a couple years ago, or was like your third string?
Trevon Boykin?
Oh, Trevon Boykin. Was that the TCU team? Trevon Boykin, again, these quarterbacks with these years are kind of throwing me off, so I'll have to double check on that. So what do you guys think? Baylor getting the shaft? Because that's when they were like at their peak. This is, I believe, after the RG3 era.
So I actually like this Baylor team. This would have been like Bryce Petty era. And they had some good weapons on that team. Again, we talked about it last week. Like, what are your favorite uniforms in college football? And I said this era of Baylor football and uniforms, I were some of my favorites, but they were fun to watch. They were, I don't want to say they came out of nowhere, but it was like a new team at the top of the Big 12, it seemed like. And then obviously Baylor and TCU got a little bit of that rivalry. And for those few years there, sometimes Baylor TCU was a lot more entertaining than OU Texas was, in my opinion. So, I liked watching Baylor those years. I was disappointed to see them kind of get screwed out of some bigger games in the postseason. So, that's me talking about it. I don't know what the question was exactly, but that was me talking about it. I agree.
Yeah, I'll agree too. I mean, those Baylor offenses back in the mid 2010s were really good, and some of those Bryce Petty teams could really run up the score. So they were fun.
Okay, so I did confirm. So it is the 2014 year. It was Trevon Boykin who was the quarterback for TCU that year. And yeah, this is when they met. So they met on October 11th, 2014. Baylor was 5, TCU was number 9, and Baylor won 61-58. And then the following week they lost to West Virginia, and then they finished the season ranked number 5 overall. So they just missed out on the college football playoff. They played Kansas State in the Big 12 title game. Then they played Michigan State in the Cotton Bowl. So yeah, it was the 2014 team led by Trevon Boykin for TCU and Bryce Petty for Baylor. So they finished at 5 in the final playoff rankings, and I believe so. 2014, that was the year that Ohio State went all the way as the 4 seed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go. So unfortunately, Raiders, so sorry your Baylor Bears got the shaft. Maybe next year. Maybe next year when you guys can make another push. Ashton G, how do you guys think Emory Jones will do, and what will the Florida Gators record be? So Florida, they do lose Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, two of their literally biggest offensive weapons. People are high on Emory Jones. People think that he can be a really good quarterback, but anytime you have a turnover like that, and again you lose your biggest weapon, it's going to be tough. Going to be tough for Florida, I think.
Yeah, I think it's tough too. I think the defense is going to be fine. They seem to bounce back defensively. I don't know. I mean, you're losing a couple of your big time playmakers, but the luxury that a lot of these SEC schools have at this point is it seems like they're pretty deep. So we'll see what Emory Jones can do. Florida's still going to be a good team. Maybe not as good as they were last year, but they're Florida. They're going to have high expectations anyway.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's going to ride on Emory Jones. It's hard to say that they're just going to win the East, especially with Georgia in their side of the conference. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Florida's always one of those teams that can bring in new recruits and get guys on the field and have a chance to be really good. It's just the issue with Florida this year is you're losing your star quarterback in Kyle Trask. You lose your two biggest weapons in Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney. And Emory Jones, despite all the hype, has thrown less than 100 passes in his college career. So it's a little hard to really read how he's going to play this year just because the sample size is so small. But look, if he plays well and he kind of pops off, then Florida could be right in the thick of the SEC East.
Yeah, I mean, I was high in Florida last year, but yeah, I forgot about Kadarius Toney as well. You lose him, so you lose your two biggest weapons. You lose your quarterback. That is not ideal. Guys, normally whenever we do our shows during the regular season, we have our pick'ems. We go over who we think is going to win the game. Well, Ashton is already asking for our way too early Ohio State Oregon prediction. Unfortunately, Oregon, they don't get to have a home game against Ohio State this year. They did reschedule their North Dakota State game for like 2029, so we have that to look forward to. All right, guys, but Oregon, they'll travel to the Horseshoe. What's your final score prediction 3.5 months before the game takes place?
I'm going to say
312 to 24.
What'd you say?
312 to 24.
Who?
You're asking us 3 months in advance. I'm going to give you an asinine answer for asking an asinine question.
I'm going to go 30.
But hang on, Josh. Hang on. It's going to be like when you're playing NCAA. It's going to be the mascot battle. So it's 11 Brutuses versus 11 of the Ducks. That's what it's going to be.
I like it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll go 30 to 21 Ohio State.
I'll say 37-20 Buckeyes.
I'll go 42-38 Ducks.
Realistically,
wow.
I was gonna say realistically, I'm gonna go 42-27 Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pick against the team that, despite losing Justin Fields, you've got arguably the two best wide receivers in college football on the same team this year. Master Teague comes back. I'm sure their offensive line is going to be good, and C.J. Stroud's supposed to be a stud. So I don't know. When these Pac-12 teams go up against some of these powerhouses, doesn't always go well these days, especially Ohio State. So
it usually doesn't for the most part. Majority of the time, it doesn't go well. Guys, home fried chicken. What are your thoughts on Northwestern this year? We lost a lot of guys, but we got some too. This was a team that 2 years ago? I only won a couple games. Last year, they were in the Big Ten title game. They were a good team last year. Defensively, they were one of the best. Offensively, they were whatever. They do return some key pieces. But again, this is a Big Ten conference where just so many teams, I think, are going to be better. Indiana's going to be probably better. Iowa's going to be better. Penn State's going to be better. Michigan, they might be turning the corner. Some of these other ones as well. So do you think Northwestern can have a repeat of what they did this past season?
Dude, hearing you just say out loud, Michigan might be turning the corner is so funny to hear.
They've been trying to turn it for a decade.
Seriously. Go ahead, though. Go ahead, guys.
Jimmy H is the guy. I love Brandon Joseph. So I'm interested to see what Northwestern's going to be like defensively this year. I think they're going to be all right. Again, that division also has Wisconsin, and I know that there's a Wisconsin question in here too. So if we get to that, I'll kind of save my Wisconsin answer for that. But I think Wisconsin competes. I think Northwestern can compete. Iowa kind of, it seemed like a couple years ago that that was kind of it for Iowa, and that was where they were going to peak and then kind of fall off a little bit. Last year, they kind of turned things around too after their first few games. So I don't know. And they're all in the same, that's all in the West, right? I think those three teams are all in the West. So I don't know. I think that could be an interesting division to watch this year. I think Northwestern makes a run, though.
I'm sure their defense is going to be good. I would guess they're probably about a 7-5 to 8-4 team. I guess I have some questions about their offense, but they'll be competitive.
Oh, great analysis. Fantastic.
I feel like I'm that gif of Josh when he's drinking the water. Oh man.
God, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in a bit.
I think it's going to be tough for Northwestern because they did just come off of a great season with some great players, both offensively and defensively. And it's tough when you have a spurt year like that the next season, because you do lose so many of your big pieces and your valuable pieces, that you don't get a lot of the big name recruits coming in yet and things of that nature. You can't develop a lot of guys. So I don't think they'll be as good as they were this last year just because of who they lost and the time that it takes to adjust to being at that level. I'm going to say a similar thing for Indiana too. They did get a lot of good recruits in though, or transfers in, I'm sorry. But I think the Northwestern thing is going to be a little bit different because they did lose an offensive first-round pick. They lost secondary players. Their offensive lineman, obviously, is taking a big hit. So I think they'll be a middle-of-the-pack team, not as good as they were this last year, though. And that's nothing on them. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, they'll just suffocate on defense, suffocate opposing teams like they always do. Josh, here's your Wisconsin question. This comes from our man Brett with the Super Chat. Thank you to Brett. Thoughts on Wisconsin this season in the Big Ten?
We talked about Graham Mertz last week. I think I speak for all of us when I say that he's probably our favorite Wisconsin quarterback of the last few years. Definitely more than Cone and Hornibrook. And I think something else we talked about was they've legit had like 3 quarterbacks since Russell Wilson, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's probably my favorite Wisconsin quarterback since Russ. I don't know. Like I said about Northwestern, I definitely like Wisconsin to make a run in that division this year. I still think the division's going to be, or the conference is going to be won by somebody coming out of the other division. But we'll see. I like Wisconsin to make a run at that division, though.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Graham Mertz and his ability to throw the ball allows Wisconsin to air it out a little bit more than they usually do. But I think the offense is going to run through him this year, and it's going to go as he goes. So it'll be kind of an interesting year because in past years, there have been some quarterbacks that depend on the run. They aren't great at throwing the ball downfield. They aren't incredibly accurate, but Graham Mertz has a chance to be better than a lot of them. So I'm interested to see what that team and what that offense look like.
What we saw from Graham Mertz to start off the year this last year was incredible. Granted, it was against Illinois. I don't want to say anything bad about Illinois, but man, are they hot garbage. He was 20 for 21 with 5 touchdowns to start the year in that first game, and then he had COVID. So the team had the whole COVID situation, so he didn't play a few games. But I think what we saw from him early last year hopefully can transfer and carry over to this year for that Wisconsin team. So I'm a big Mertz fan too. I like what we saw from him.
Yeah, they were streaky last year. I think it was like they won 2, then they lost 3, then they won 2. They had all the COVID stuff, so we didn't really get to see kind of like what they potentially could do. So yeah, having Mertz. What was that last week when it was just the 3 of us? I think we were like looking up the Wisconsin quarterbacks they've had over the last decade, and it's just been like 3 since Russell Wilson, and all of them are just forgettable in their own right. Guys, this is a fun one. This comes from Dorky Nerd. Will Vanderbilt get 2 conference wins this year?
No.
Well, they get 2 conference wins. So I figured you guys would say that, but I looked up the Vanderbilt football schedule. So let me read off their SEC opponents, and let's see if they get 2 wins. All right, guys. I'll go one by one. You guys tell me yes or no. Are they pulling out the victory? We'll start off with an easy one. At home against Georgia.
No.
All right, then we got at Florida.
No.
All right, you guys.
Brady will emphatically yell no more and more each time.
At South Carolina.
No.
At home against Missouri.
No.
Still
Close
no.
for a while. I'll say that. Close for a while against Mizzou.
All right, guys. How about at home against Kentucky?
No.
Yeah, I'll say no.
All right, guys. We got 2 more. We got on the road at Ole Miss.
No.
No.
All right, guys. And to wrap things up, they return home. Or nope, they're done at home for the year. They go on the road to Knoxville, Tennessee, take on Rocky Top and the Tennessee Volunteers.
No.
Close, but no.
No. Yeah. So is that no wins?
All right, guys. Well, looking at
no
their
wins.
looking at their non-conference schedule, guys. They play at home against UConn, who now has been relegated to the FCS.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
going to say
win.
yes. Maybe.
Yeah, they'll win that one.
And they're at home against East Tennessee State.
That's also a win.
All right.
That's a win.
All right, so that's they also play Stanford and Colorado State, but I think we know how those 2 are going to go.
No.
So it sounds like 2 wins max for Vanderbilt this year. So
Unless Sarah Full is
I'll
their
go
quarterback.
3 wins max. Watch them. They'll lose to. They'll beat all their non-conference opponents except for Stanford. No, the SEC always does one like week 12 non-conference game. So
they don't have one.
Wait, what?
They don't have
What?
one. Like
So
a
do
like
they
a
just open with 4 straight non-conference games.
they open with 3 straight non-conference games, play Georgia and then UConn. So 4 of their first 5 are non-con.
All right, so no, then that's not the same. I was gonna say if it's the four non-conference games in a row, they lose the one to Stanford, go into conference play red hot at 3-1, and then lose out. And everyone like Blake is like, I don't know. I think they could put up a fight against Alabama. Beat by 50.
They're about 4-0 or 5-0 when that happened. I'll still stand by that. BYU for life. How do you think BYU is going to do this season without Zach Wilson and with a much tougher schedule?
They'll have as many wins as the Mormons have wives. You do the math.
That's a lot. They're going to go undefeated.
Well, it depends what Mormon you know. That could be a lot. That could be, 1 for now.
Well, let's double check and take a look at their schedule. It's probably half Pac-12, half Mountain West, and then one really good team in there probably.
They play ASU.
They play Arizona, Utah, ASU, Boise State, Baylor, Washington State, Virginia. They do have an interesting schedule.
BYU,
Virginia,
Boise State.
USC. So they go to USC to end the season. I think they go 8-4. I'm gonna say they lose to ASU, to Boise State, to USC, and then they will lose to either Utah or my hot take, Washington State. They go 8-4.
I'll be honest. This sounds more like a 6-6 type season to me. That sounds like a tough schedule. So I'm gonna say with losing Zach Wilson, they finished 500.
Yeah, but who knows what they're going to bring in for next year and what they're going to have. They'll have some random, Zach Wilson looking kid come in and put up 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. So who knows?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It definitely sounds like a tough schedule. Josh, some good news. My uncle was watching, and he confirmed with me there is a Wahlburgers on the Sunset Strip. So
Really?
there is a Wahlburgers within distance, but unfortunately,
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, I was going to say that, and 2, I still don't think $10 will cover might cover a fry. Might be able to get a fry there for $10, but a burger.
Never been.
I've never been to either. It's MJ's mom's favorite burger place, but I've never been to Wahlburgers.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I've heard good things about it.
It's good. Shake Shack's better.
Well,
Went to
Josh, when you
In-N-Out
go, Josh, when you go to Wahlburgers because you've been forced to, let us know how it is, guys. This is a good one. This comes from Tate Campbell. Is it just me, or is John Reese Plumlee, or should John Reese Plumlee be a starting quarterback in college football? I mean, a few years ago when he was at Ole Miss, he took the scene over. I think he rushed for over 1,000 yards in 8 games. Throwing wise, he's not the best, but I mean, he's a great dual threat quarterback. And now, obviously, Ole Miss has Matt Corral. He's their main starting quarterback. Ole Miss kind of uses John Reese Plumlee, kind of like in a Taysom Hill type role, like what the Saints do. But I mean, this is a guy where if he were given a full 12-game season, he'd easily probably rush for 1,500 yards, maybe something like that. Might throw 15 touchdowns with 10 interceptions, but do you guys think he should be a starting quarterback somewhere? About the 129 other options out there.
Somewhere, I think he could.
Yeah, at the very least at Vanderbilt, like we were just talking about, or some of those type of schools that are really kind of
Vanderbilt.
Well, I know, I feel bad. It's okay. They might win the Natty in college baseball, so it's fine.
Or Arkansas.
Or Arkansas, who we also didn't have a ton of great things to say about them on the gridiron.
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some Division I Power 5 teams out there that he could start for. And plain and simple, he's better than some of the quarterbacks that are in those roles. So yeah.
I gotta say that John Reese Plumlee is hitting a cool 261 and playing center field for Ole Miss baseball this year.
Oh, is he actually?
Yes, he is. He hit a walk-off home run a month or so ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
John Reese Plumlee.
Short
Yeah,
round there with a question, by the way, Blake. Just letting you know.
All right, I'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, I just want to quickly look up his from a few years ago. Yeah, he played in 9 games for Ole Miss as a freshman, rushed for over 1,000 yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, averaged nearly 7 yards a carry. Throwing wise, completed 53% of his passes for 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 picks. But again, give him a full season, he'd rush for 1,500 yards. It would look something pretty good, guys. Marcus D, who's the next team to jump from the FCS to the FBS?
I think
Eastern Washington.
Most people would say,
and what, go to the Pac-12 like Lyle predicted?
Yep.
I think most people would say North Dakota State, and we all had North Dakota State going FBS when we did our conference realignments last summer, which was a lot of fun. And it was interesting to see where each person had North Dakota State. The only issue, I think, if we're promoting one team to the FBS, I don't think it's North Dakota State. One, because every indication that I've seen from North Dakota State is they are totally content playing in Fargo, North Dakota, just beating the hell out of all these other FCS teams. So one, I don't think they would try to go FBS. Two, I don't know what conference would want them because there's not really anything else in the area. So you've got to, let's be honest, Pullman, Washington is in the middle of nowhere, essentially. Teams fly into Spokane and then drive an hour to go to Washington State. There is nothing around Fargo. So, that's kind of the problem that Hawaii had for a long time. Is obviously that's an extreme example, but I don't think anyone would add North Dakota to their North Dakota State to their conference because it's so out of the way of every other team. Remember what my Big 12 alignment looked like? It was the Big 12 and North Dakota State. I just don't think anyone add them. So mine, maybe out of left field, is James Madison. And I think they could hop into maybe the American. I think they're maybe a little too north to be in the Sun Belt, but they could be like a Liberty. It could be
I had James Madison in my I forget where I had him, but I had him moving in. So I don't know where it was, but
I think
somewhere.
I did. You know how I had that little just miss the cut or whatever? I think I had James Madison in my little corner. But James Madison, FBS.
I'd probably still go with North Dakota State. I mean, there's some teams in the Big Ten that they are better than, so I would put them in.
The only problem
is about Indiana anymore, so there we go.
Oh, it's definitely not Indiana anymore, but you're talking about teams like Illinois and Rutgers. I bet you North Dakota State's better than them.
The only problem is
I'll go something different. I'm going to go Sam Houston State.
A reigning FCS champs.
Yeah, baby.
I was gonna say, the only problem with North Dakota State is the fact they play in that just indoor arena that looks like it's been in Fargo since probably Fargo was created. So get a new stadium and then maybe North Dakota State, because I don't think
All about the money. Well,
So
they
does-
would have to play indoors.
So
They
does
would play
Syracuse.
indoors.
Syracuse plays in that indoor stadium, but I mean, they're still
At least
Division
they
One. They play in the
renovated.
Carrier Dome. What's
They
up?
just renovated the Carrier Dome a little bit.
Well, fair.
Yeah, they
All
like,
right.
put a new roof up, which leaked
right.
the first day they put it up.
All right, guys, this comes from Gator King. Who would win in a fight, Lee Corso or Gary Danielson?
Corso.
I got my money on Coach. I got Lee
Yeah, you can't pick against Lee Corso.
in anything.
Dude's got a switchblade like in his pocket.
Bro,
for sure.
I was just saying, he's definitely like going for the knees or something. He's going low and he's going for the attack or something right
I
there.
feel like he
All
has
right,
one of
guys.
those canes that switches apart to be like a samurai sword.
He definitely does. Guys, Muhammad Omar, other than Cincinnati and Liberty, is there going to be another surprise non-Power 5 team for the upcoming season?
Other than Cincinnati or Liberty. James Madison.
It's hard to predict these things this early because the team that pops out of nowhere, oftentimes you least expect it. So I'm sure there's going to be some surprise non-Power 5 team that's really good. It's as we sit here on June 1st, it's just a little hard to predict who that might be, other than, like Muhammad mentioned in the question, Liberty and Cincinnati.
What's the return going to be like for Coastal Carolina this year? What do they lose?
I think they pretty much just lose CJ Marable, and then I forget his name, but like their best, edge rusher. But I think aside from that, they're pretty.
Wasn't the quarterback a freshman?
Yeah, Grayson
So-
McCall.
Yeah, so maybe Grayson McCall and Coastal, outside of Cincinnati and Liberty. I mean, I think Coastal could be that team that everyone kind of thinks like, oh, they were good last year, and then you kind of like pay attention to them, and they go like 9-3, and you're like, all right, Coastal 2021, calling it now.
I'll just say San Jose State has another solid season. And the Spartans come and they're the next Mountain West team. Guys, another super chat from our man Steven Smith. Do you guys think the two conferences could have two teams in the playoffs? I think the Big 12 and the SEC have a shot to do it. Well, the SEC always has a shot to do it. I mean, the crazy thing is it's different teams every year. It's Bama and then someone else. It could be Georgia, it could be Auburn, could be LSU, could be Florida, could be Vanderbilt or Arkansas. I mean, who knows? Stranger things have happened. But the Big 12, I'm assuming he means Oklahoma is probably the lock. And then the second is probably like Iowa State, maybe Texas, if all goes right. But I think in order for, the SEC, again, we've seen it happen where we've seen two SEC teams recently in the title game. The Big 12, in order for that to happen, I think they're going to need like Oklahoma just to be a dominant, like they finish as the number one team in the country. And then Iowa State probably has to go like undefeated the entire way, barely lose to Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. I don't know if Iowa State and Oklahoma play each other this year, but I think that's the only chance that the Big 12 has having two teams.
Yeah, I don't see it happening for the Big 12. I don't think really anybody in the like any West Conference or the more Western conferences are going to get enough respect or have enough dominant teams to get two teams in. So I think that completely nullifies the Pac-12. I think that nullifies the Big 12. I don't see it happening with the ACC and the Big 10. Maybe. I think the only conference that has any real shot of two teams, at least as of June 1st, 2021, is the SEC and nobody else.
I agree. If I had to pick a second conference that had a chance, I would pick the ACC under the or not the assumption, but under the hypothetical that Clemson got in, and then either a team such as North Carolina or Miami got in, and they had a really good season. But that's more of a long shot than two SEC teams getting in. So, yeah, the SEC will probably do it, but I wouldn't put any money on a second conference getting two teams in.
Yeah, Pac-12, they're going to get three teams in, so all of you guys just watch.
Who's it going to be?
It's going to be ASU, USC, and Oregon. And then Bama.
Two teams for the same division.
Yes.
All right.
I love it. All right, we're going to get to short rounds question right now because you can only drop in quickly. I have to go dig out moles. Oh. My definitely college football question is, what animal would you give the ability to fly? That could be a fun one, but a terrifying one at the same time.
Flying whales.
Blue whale.
Okay.
Tell me that wouldn't scare the living hell out of you.
No, I think whales would be awesome. I think that's a really good one. I'm going to say dogs.
Snake.
No, that's boring. I was gonna say dogs because dogs would just have such a blast, I'm gonna say sloths, and the reason why is because sloths typically mistake their own arms for tree branches, so they will let go of the tree to grab onto the other tree branch, which is actually their arm, and fall to their deaths. So, if sloths could fly, there would be significantly more sloths in this world.
Well, you know the old saying, if frogs could fly, they wouldn't hop on their ass all day long.
That's true.
So frogs.
Brady took mine. I was going to say either whales or dolphins because I feel like people always stop when they see a bald eagle flying overhead because you don't see it that often, but it's very noticeable when you see it. You see a dolphin or a whale flying overhead. I mean, you couldn't miss that if you tried.
You're in a boat, you're going in the ocean, all of a sudden there's a flying blue whale overhead.
It'll make SeaWorld even that much more entertaining, I'll tell you that.
Imagine flying Shamu.
Oh. Yeah, that, like I said, that could be great or terrifying. So, in order on this short round question, if you guys have any non-football related questions, ask us those in the chat. We have about 10-15 minutes left of the show, and we want to end on some kind of fun ones. So we answered a bunch of college football related questions. So again, if you have any questions like this, the funnier the better, the more offensive the better. Anything you guys can come up with, we want to answer. Something that will get us thinking, something that will get us laughing. So again, 15 minutes or so left, so come up with any of your creative questions. Guys, though, while we wait for people to get those fun questions in, but it looks like Lyle, do you have something you want to add?
Oh, I was just going to say, while we wait for people to get a couple of these questions in, there was one more question on here that I thought might be fun to answer, unless you're going to go off on something.
All right, let me see. Just tell me which one it is because I have to scroll through and it's tough for me to find.
It was from Luke Boy 28, so shout out to him for the question. And he said, who gets drafted first, Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave, on the topic of Ohio State? I thought that was kind of an
here we
one.
go, right here. Okay, the reason why I didn't say it, I wasn't that far down yet, but we can go to this one right here. All right, yeah, so who gets picked first, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave? The consensus seems to be like these are the top two wide receivers in the class next year at the same school, so that's a bonus. But who do you guys think gets the top dib?
I'm going to say Olave goes first. He was a guy that was on my personal radar first. I had him in college fantasy a couple years ago. So I liked Olave, and then last year was pretty excited about Garrett Wilson. And then one of the days that I ran our Twitter like all day, Garrett Wilson had like a couple of nice touchdown grabs. So I remember tweeting those a couple times. I like them both. I'm going to give the edge for me personally to Olave.
Yeah, these guys are definitely at the top of the class. If not 1-2, they're right in the mix. It's really a shame what happened to George Pickens from Georgia because he was right in this mix too, and now he's going to miss the whole year. But in terms of these two, right now I would say Olave because I think he's the safer play. But I think a lot of it will depend on how they look this year because I think Garrett Wilson has the chance to be the higher upside guy, but the safer pick is definitely Olave.
This is very similar to what we saw from Alabama this last year where there really isn't a bad choice between them. So I also think Olave because he has been consistent over a longer period of time than Wilson has, but I think both of them are safe picks. And by the way, guys, I got my card questions back if you want to do any of those.
We'll do those when we I say probably 5 minutes because I want to get to just a few more. We can kind of rapid fire these ones. Anthony Garcia, does Miami have a chance week 1 against Bama considering it is going to be Bryce Young's first career start?
So much for
yeah, I mean, I think anybody has a chance first week of the season, especially if it's Power 5 versus Power 5. I think Bama's a much better team overall. But Miami also added Charleston Rambo this year from Oklahoma. We got a question earlier that was like, who could be a potential breakout star in the ACC? I think that's a huge get for Miami. So maybe Charleston Rambo to answer that question, other than the obvious DJ Uiagalelei. But yeah, I think Miami's absolutely got a chance. But as of June 1st, 2021, I'm going to go out on a limb and pick Bama.
Yeah, we're starting to get some good non-football questions just looking at the comments. So I'm sure we'll get to those in a couple minutes. But yeah, I'm going to take Bama in this game. Maybe Miami will hang around for a half, but if Bryce Young's half as good as people think he's going to be, I think we're going to see it as early as his first start.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well, Lyle. I think you nailed it there.
Guys, we have a super chat from Uncle Lou, and he just says, morning.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you, ma'am?
So
Morning,
good
ma'am.
morning, Uncle Lou. Uncle Lou, if you're somewhere where it's morning, I don't know my time zones too well, so let me know where you're at, if it's morning or you're just saying morning. It didn't say good morning, it just said morning, so.
No, but like, you got to say it right. It's morning. How are you?
All right, guys, some fun ones here. Gator King, what is the most basic logo that looks good?
College, NFL, in general?
I think just a logo in general, like
I'll
any
go
sort of logo.
college because a lot of baseball logos are very basic, and baseball has a lot of great logos. So I'll step away from that and just do college football. My top two, easily, USC and Notre Dame. I mean, interlocking letters, colorized well, looks clean. I like them.
Yeah, I would agree. If it's about college football, USC and Notre Dame, I'll throw Michigan in there too, that they're very easy but appealing logos. Non-sports related, honestly, I think Pepsi is a good logo. It's just very appealing to the eye. So I'll go with Pepsi.
For college football related, I'm going to stray away from those two or three that you guys said just to mix it up. I'm going to go Alabama. I just think the simplicity of it, the lines, everything, the way it's shaped is very nice. I'm going to go Clemson too. Clemson's got a cool some hidden meaning in their logo. The back side of the paw, how jagged it is, it's actually the banking of a river that flows through Clemson.
Oh. Wow. Did not know that.
Brand wise, I got to go FedEx. The hidden arrow in FedEx is
a good one.
A good one too. Yeah, or Amazon. It is the.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those guys. Dropping times. Who would win, a flying dolphin or a flying panda?
I'm going to go dolphin. They're both pretty smart animals. I just think that the dolphin could be a little bit more nimble. It's a little quick. Strike,
right.
Hidden attacks.
Pandas also move slower.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with the dolphin.
Yeah,
I mean, they're still flying, but.
All right, guys. Best fast food burger. I saw this. I think it was like a week ago. FanDuel tweeted out like hypothetical betting odds on this like 32 team bracket of the best burgers out there. All right, guys. Now this is fast food, so this isn't I guess technically like going to Coney's, Chuck Box. Those don't really count. So it is more of a.
Blake.
I know. I'm just telling you for your sake. Best fast food burger.
In-N-Out, not close. It is not close. I'm from California. That factors a lot into it, but I will die on that hill. Nothing comes close to In-N-Out to the point where I barely consider In-N-Out fast food at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not from California. I'm from Washington, and man, I wish there was an In-N-Out in the state of Washington because In-N-Out is the best fast food burger. If you're going to say Whataburger, go ahead and just drop off the show, please.
No.
I'm going to mix mine up. I do love In-N-Out, but I don't want to go 3 for 3. A Wendy's Baconator is so good.
It is.
So good. So I'm going to go Wendy's Baconator.
Wendy's Baconator. I will say this, though, guys. When was the last time you had a fresh McDouble? Because when you have a fresh
No, McDonald's is not close. No.
I'm not saying it's close. I'm just saying, like, there are times when at Mickey D's, you can get yourself a solid burger, but In-N-Out's the only real answer here. For those that haven't had it, we send our condolences. Benny, who would win in a rock, paper, scissors battle between Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney?
I wonder if Nick Saban knows what rock, paper, scissors is. I just feel like he wouldn't know how to do it.
Josh, right now, rock, paper, scissors, let's go.
Yeah, okay. Just one.
So rock, paper, scissors. Hang on. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right. Just making sure we got it.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Fire.
It's fire.
I
guess that doesn't say anything to her. Well, I guess we're both immune then.
There you go. All right.
I'm going with Nick Saban.
I'm going to go with Dabo, but he's going to draw like the first 4 times and just get in your head and then beat you.
Interesting.
Nick Saban doesn't lose. Nick Saban just won't lose. Guys, 2 more questions, then we'll go to Brady's cards. Colton wants to know, would you listen to Jake Paul talk for 30 seconds or army crawl through broken glass for 3 miles?
What is Jake Paul talking about?
It doesn't
matter. I will say this.
Jake Paul.
He's so annoying, But when he's like going on one of his like tirades, it's the funniest thing. I don't know if you guys remember this from like a month ago when he was trying to like fight Conor McGregor. He posted some video of him like in his Lamborghini outside his mansion, just like cussing up a storm, just talking down to Conor McGregor. And it was like the funniest video I've like seen all year. So Jake Paul can't stand the guy, but my God, sometimes he's like he's pretty funny the way he just goes off.
I would let him talk for 30 seconds, but right when I'm timing it, and at the 30-second part, I'm going, done, I'm out, bye. And that was it.
Yeah, I am by no means a Jake Paul fan. I hope Woodley knocks him out, but crawling through broken glass for 3 miles would leave some pretty permanent damage. So
I mean, even crawling 3 miles sounds like hell.
Walking 3 miles, Blake.
Hey. That is true. I do my average 6 mile run walk almost every day. All right, guys, time for one final question. Our good man Didier Registier, who's winning the chip this year? NBA.
Don't care.
I'm taking the Lakers until they're out. So Lakers. You know what? I got a question for you three and the comment section. I got my 2 jerseys up here, and I need to know which one I should wear tonight.
Purple.
I wore the gold. I wore the gold for game 1 and they lost. I wore purple for 2, 3, and 4. They won the first 2 and the luck ran out in game 4. So
purple.
Should I wear the gold or the purple?
Purple.
Lyle?
Yeah, go with the purple. Why not?
All right. We're sticking with the purple then. Unless it's overwhelmingly gold in the comment section. It will be no comments at all, by the way.
No comments.
In terms of the question for who's winning it all in the NBA, I will always back LeBron until he's out. So if the Lakers are healthy, I'll say the Lakers. Although you watch the Nets, when these guys are all healthy, I mean, even for LeBron and AD, that is going to be hard to stop that team.
I think Lakers, if they're healthy, would be fun. Nets would be if they're healthy. But the team that's playing the best basketball is Milwaukee. Or Phoenix.
Or my Los Angeles Clippers.
No.
We'll get to the second round and Chuck. I already know it's coming. I already know it's coming. All right, guys. Husker Gray says, hey, you guys are the best. Keep doing what y'all are doing. So thank you, Husker Gray. We love you, Husker Gray. Also, guys, Uncle Lou said, it's always morning here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know what that means.
Good morning, Uncle Lou.
All right. So, Brady, without further ado, take the questions away. Sure. We got time for probably 5 to 10 minutes of them, and then we'll wrap this up for the week. So for those of you that are new to the show, Brady has this fun game where he pretty much goes through this deck of cards with these questions, hypothetical scenarios, which are my personal favorite. I need hypothetical scenarios like I need air. He asks us them, we go, and we just pretty much end this show on a chaotic note for about 5 to 10 minutes. So Brady, I'm sure you got some good ones, so take it away.
Here's what we're going to do. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
Would you rather permanently be on stilts or permanently have a foam finger on each hand?
Ooh.
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
I'd rather permanently be on stilts because 1, I'm taller. 2, how are you going to eat anything? You can't use the computer. You can't use your phone with 2 foam fingers. So you can't do anything. It's soft. You know, you can kind of like when someone's next to you, kind of just, rub your jumbo finger against their head. But aside from that, you can't do anything with foam fingers.
Weird thing to do with a foam finger. I'm going to go stilts because I feel like after like a week, you'd get very good at maneuvering around on stilts.
You just walk over everybody.
Yeah.
But how do you like sit on an airplane or in a car?
Well, you can. How tall are the stilts?
That's a tough one.
I don't know. Lyle?
I'd probably take the stilts too, just because there's so much daily stuff that you have 2 foam fingers on. It's going to be hard to do. Even driving, like, yes, you can do it, but it's going to make it a lot tougher. And I feel like, I wouldn't put my life at risk like that. So I'd probably take the stilts. Like Josh said, you give it some time, you'll probably adjust.
All right, next one. Here we go. Tell me when to stop. Well, we're at the end, so tell me when to stop.
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 I don't like that one. We're going this one.
Great.
If you had to win, did I ask you one this already? I may have asked this. If you had to win any game show to stay alive, what would it be?
Oh, you didn't ask us that.
I did or did not?
You didn't.
No. If you had to win any game show to stay alive, what would it be?
Oh man, what? Cash Cab.
Cab. That's a good show. That's a fun one.
Cash Cab.
Yeah, I think I could do Cash Cab, but especially if you get like a decent group of people that know a bunch of Cash Cab with our good pal Big J. I think we could win for sure because the easy questions, I think there's no chance that Jordan gets them. But the most random question ever, Jordan be like, "Oh, I got it," and then you win, and then you live. You live.
Can the dependency of your life be relegated to a family member? Yes or no? And they play the game show for you.
Oh, Jay cannot play Jeopardy for you.
Yeah, if you play Family Feud and you got Jay, then yes.
Family Feud, I'll say yes.
Okay, how much money would I have to walk away with in Deal or No Deal to stay alive?
Oh, bro, he took mine because I was going to say you're a winner regardless. You're at least walking out of there with a cent.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
So how much money would I have to walk away with? Would it have to be six figures? Because it's hard to do that.
I'm going to say six figures.
Yeah, I'll play Deal or No Deal.
Six figures, or you get at least like 4 offers or 3 offers.
Okay, I'll play Deal or No Deal.
I'm going to rock with Family Feud.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Funny enough, I've actually we just TiVo every Jeopardy episode, but we've started keeping score of it. And I'm surprisingly I'm pretty much as clueless as they come. I don't know much, but for some reason when it comes to Jeopardy, I've been killing it. I mean, by killing it, I mean I finished with $8,000 the other day and I was like, wow, I'm a genius, when that's pretty much nothing for the most part. So Deal or No Deal was going to be mine. Mine will be the I'll go with the hat shuffle at a Dodgers game.
That's not a game show.
Also,
but it's a game.
Also, I don't know if that's just a Dodgers thing. I think just about every stadium does that.
I was going to do the Deal or No Deal one though, but I think Family Feud would be fun because I know the Harrises for sure. I will bet the Harrises are coming out on top, regardless of who we play.
I can guarantee you David would give some awesome answers at Family Feud.
Oh, just imagine a head-to-head of me versus David, on the buzzer. He wouldn't even answer the question. He would just say something offensive to me, and he would win.
Yeah.
All right, Brady, let's hear another one.
All right. Are there any universally loved movies that you hate?
I will say this. I don't hate the movie. I don't hate these two movies by any means. However, the hype they get behind them, I do think they're overrated and okay movies at best. I'm going to have to turn my camera off and mute my mic and avoid the comments because this might be a hot take. But I think two very overrated sports movies are Remember the Titans and Field of Dreams.
Oh, he actually left. Cool. Good.
Interesting.
I don't know. I like both those movies, but hey, I mean, people are entitled.
Hoosiers sucks.
No.
So does Rudy.
So does Summer Catch, the worst movie I've ever seen.
Whoa. That's not universally loved. So
I got mine is Rocky.
Did not care for The Godfather.
I can back that up as well.
Good reference.
No, I was joking. Thank you.
Rocky 2 through the rest of them. There didn't need to be more than one.
Yeah, there didn't need to be more than one Rocky.
3 and 4 are the best ones.
There didn't need to be more than one.
I agree with Lyle, but there didn't need to be more than one.
I've still never even seen one Rocky. Just Creed.
I gotta be real. The Terminator, those aren't good.
Didn't need to be more than one.
You know what? Here, I'll tell you this. I enjoyed this movie, but it is the most criminally overrated movie I've seen in the last 10 years. Frozen is overrated. Good, incredibly overrated. Incredibly overrated.
Then if you say Cars, I'm coming to your house and cutting your throats.
Cars is excellent.
Yes,
Cars
it
is an excellent motion picture.
An excellent piece of cinema.
This is cinema, exactly. Martin Scorsese.
Yeah. No, Frozen was fine, but people acted like it was the second coming of Jesus, And it was like, no, it's a movie. Relax. Right. They sing a couple songs. The queen turns out to be bad, but is actually just good.
Well, thanks for the spoiler alert, dog.
I mean, it's pretty cliche. Have not seen Frozen 2, so maybe
I
that
haven't
one's
either.
pretty good. Frozen's overrated.
Lyle, do you
MC
answer
Met
yet?
says Rudy Rudiger was offside. Rudy was offside.
He also says Stetson Bennett is a better walk-on than Rudy Rudiger. Well, I mean, Rudy only made 1 tackle and played in 2 plays. I don't know if there's any movies that I hate that are universally loved. The closest thing I can think of is my younger brother thinks The First National Treasure is absolutely atrocious. So that's probably the closest thing I have.
That movie is so good.
I mean, Lyle does love Jack and Jill.
Oh, that's true. That's universally loved.
Oh man.
All right, Brad. I think we have time for one more good one from your cards.
We'll do one more. This will be a quick one, and I'll end on a really good one. If you could put any restaurant franchise in your house, what would it be?
It's got to be Cheesecake Factory because they just have everything you can want and more, and it's all really good.
TGI Fridays, endless apps.
See, my first thought was In-N-Out, but considering it's like right down the street, I can probably pass. My next thought was Coney's, but then I don't want to get fat. So I think Blake's onto something. Like I think Cheesecake Factory, because that menu is like,
it's a book.
Massive. Yeah,
it's actually a book.
The Cheesecake Factory menu is like one of those old libraries that has that one lectern in the corner that just has the fattest dictionary you've ever seen in your life. That's like 3,000 pages, and that's their menu. So yeah, I think Blake's onto something.
Dude, TGI Fridays got those endless apps, some mozzarella sticks, some.
Bro, who cares about it? Wait. So is the thing is, it's in your like, are you getting like free food, or is like the restaurant just where you live? You still have to pay. Because I was gonna say, if it's endless apps, who cares if you're getting everything for free from Cheesecake Factory?
I don't know, man.
Also, here's a hot take: Cheesecake Factory is a bad version of the Gavin Lux Fridays. Is a legit copy and paste
Gavin
of
Lux
Applebee's.
Fridays.
Oh, Grand Lux.
Gavin Lux.
It's Grand Lux. There should be a period in there. And then Friday, legit copy and paste of Applebee's.
No, it's not.
Oh, hang on. Olive Garden. Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. I enjoy Olive Garden. I've been surprised at how many people actually hate Olive Garden. And I'm like, yo, I'm not comparing it to authentic Italian cuisine. It is cheap pasta. All right. Take it for what it's worth and enjoy it. You don't need to tell me that this is like, oh, it's as good as Villa Roma. Like I know it's not. All right. So just take it for what it's worth. Enjoy the endless pasta and soups. And just who cares?
I miss those Olive Garden.
We need to tweet that. That was so good.
I've had so many people tell me that Olive Garden is bad.
I miss our Olive Garden.
Just get over it. Eat your pasta and don't tell me that it tastes bad because it doesn't.
Bro, man, every Olive Garden trip was the same thing. Big J was asking for 3 bowls of the salad. I was saying never stop bringing the bread, and it was a guaranteed each time.
And then 90% of us got the tour of Italy.
Yeah,
that's true. We would all get. So no, you get the endless pasta, and then you can change it each time. The one gripe that I have with Olive Garden is you can't put in multiple orders at once. So once you get it, you can put in your next order of like your next pasta dish, right? The problem is like the first one, they're like, oh, here's a massive fettuccine Alfredo with chicken. And you're like, wow. Can I put in my second order? They're like, yeah. What do you want? And you're like, I'll have the ravioli. So you eat your fettuccine, and then you're like, oh man, I can't wait for the ravioli. And they bring you this little tiny dish, and they're like, there's one ravioli, enjoy. And you're not allowed to put in your next order until you finish. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm done. Can I have my next ravioli now? Oh, I love that place.
That was one of the best things I've ever heard on this show. That was awesome. All right, I got one more if you guys want it. Wait, Lyle, what was your answer?
Oh, I mean, the first one that popped into my head was Cane's, but I feel like that's a bad life investment because having that in my own house would probably that's probably not a good idea.
You just get tired of it after like a month.
See, I don't know if I would. I feel like it'd be like eating peanut butter and jellies for me, where I feel like I just wouldn't get tired of it ever. But the problem is, I mean, eating Raising Cane's every day cannot be good for your health. So I think what you guys said about Cheesecake Factory and Olive Garden and places with big menus that are diverse is probably the move.
Well, especially if you have an Olive Garden in your house, when you're there, your family.
Yes, exactly. It basically is your house.
Exactly. Last one that I got. What TV show could you take a college course on and get an A?
Seinfeld.
Family Guy for me, or Big Mouth.
See, yeah, Friends. Here's another one that I've actually joked with people about. They should teach this in journalism school. They should teach The Newsroom from HBO. Great show. So I could teach that class, but I could ace a Friends class. I heard that there was one at ASU that got canceled before we all got there. That would have been amazing.
That's the most ASU thing ever.
No, the most ASU thing ever was the baseball team's reaction video to getting placed in the Austin Regional. They were all in the pool.
That was the most ASU thing ever. I'll go with either The Big Bang Theory, since my family and I have watched that for a long time, and we've seen close to every episode, I feel like. That, or I'll say Cobra Kai.
Interesting.
You know what, Lyle? There is a deranged cult of people. Maybe deranged isn't the right word. There is a cult of people similar to, and I will say it, the deranged people who hate Olive Garden with a passion, that hate The Big Bang Theory. That
I know.
Hate it.
There are.
I don't know.
I love Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and I was never into science or anything like that, but I just think it's a really good show. I just think it's funny. So
it's an educational program.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like Bill Nye.
No, yeah.
He is in the show, though.
True.
Well,
How I Met Your Mother. I could do that probably. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Right,
Seinfeld, I'm not getting one question wrong.
Family Guy, I'm not getting one wrong.
The story just changes every episode in Family Guy. That's why I think that there are things that I would miss.
Big Mouth, I could probably do too. All right, one more. Tell me when.
Now.
I think we did this one last time. All right, here we go. Would you rather wake up in the morning with all of your TV channels in a different order, or all of the letters on your keyboard in a different order?
And the TV channels, because all I watch are ESPN, the Dodgers channel, and MLB Network. So it'll take a few minutes to learn the three, but I'll go from there after that.
I would say the keyboard, because I think that's something that you could fix faster. Like if you had to go one by one to fix something on your keyboard, I think you could do that faster than going through your TV guide and reordering it manually. Because
but it resets every day.
Oh man.
Do you have voice control for the TV working?
I'm gonna say no, Lyle.
Readjust channels.
Well, if the
ESPN.
I was just gonna say, if the voice control works, I guess it doesn't really matter what order it's in. But if that doesn't work and it's an old-fashioned remote from 10 years ago, yeah, I'd say the keyboard, because I feel like if you take 10 minutes every day,
Lyle can't type anyways. You don't know how to that's not like being mean, but you're still you
I type. Oh yeah, no, I type with two fingers, but I've done it for so long that I can actually do it quick. I actually think if I learned the right way, I would do it slower at this point. So I'm still gonna take the keyboard, because I think if you take 10 minutes to put it back together every day, it's not the end of the world.
God. Well, that's a perfect note to end on in regards to Lyle using a keyboard. So thank you to everyone for tuning in this week. Again, make sure to follow the show on Twitter at the @HHShow_. That way you keep up to date with the latest, when we're going to be recording, when we're going to be doing Q&As, when you guys can ask us and submit us questions, all that fun stuff. It's a must follow if you're on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. All the information's there as well at Harris Highlight Show. If you're not on Twitter, maybe you're on Instagram, you guys can give us a follow over there. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, in the coming weeks. We're going to be doing a show pretty much going over all the transfer players from this offseason, all the schools they transfer to, who we think are going to make the biggest impact. We had 2 big transfers today. We'll be saving that for a future show. And as I mentioned last week, starting sometime in July, we're going to be beginning our conference preview breakdowns. We go in depth on all 5 Power 5 conferences, the teams, what to expect, players, all that kind of fun stuff. So a few weeks left until that hits. We have a trivia show coming in the coming weeks. Want to make sure we get all 4 of us on for that. I'll be hosting. So guys, start studying. I always say, and Josh says, I don't know what to study. Exactly. Just start studying, start touching up on your guys' trivia. So guys, before we,
don't I get to host for winning the Harris Highlights League?
I think you already did host. Who knows?
Maybe you can host.
Maybe you can host that one. Guys, any parting words before we head out for the week?
Would you rather fight Mike Tyson or sound like him for the rest of your life?
Or what?
Would you rather fight him or sound like him for the rest of your life?
Given that my career is mostly surrounding my voice at this point, then I would go with fight.
Yeah, I agree. You'd probably have to suck up the few weeks in the hospital or whatever. But
hey, man,
one punch and you'd be done.
Allen seemed fine in The Hangover. He just had a black eye, but he, a couple hours later was back up and running. So I'll take a hit from Mike Tyson.
I am not challenging Mike Tyson. But he's 54. I just want to throw that out there. Dance around him a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep the hands up.
Oh, boy. All right. So, again, you guys can find us on Instagram at Harris Highlight Show. You guys can find us on Twitter at the HH Show _. Again, stay tuned for coming episodes, trivia, transfers, conference breakdowns, a whole lot of fun, some interviews potentially coming. Stay tuned for that. For Josh Schaefer, Lau Goldstein, Brady Clinton, and Blake Harris, from the Chateau in beautiful Monrovia, California. Thank you guys so much for watching. Before we go, Brady's going to say one final thing.
I hate congratulating you on this, but congratulations for picking Elio Castroneves to win the Indy 500.
Oh, bro, I should have. I think $100 would have paid $3,000.
30-1, baby.
You hate to see it. Never bet against Phil Phil Mickelson. Never bet against Tiger Woods. Never bet against Elio Castroneves. Life advice, Book of Harris. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next.